Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Open Talks. My name is Mia. I'm from Open, and I'm so thrilled to have you join us for this session on rethinking the internet and building digital workplace that works for humans. I think we've all heard stereotypes about intranets, that it's just where information goes to die and no one really uses these platforms. But today we're going to try and challenge that thinking a little bit. We are going to explore what happens when you turn your intranet into the digital front door for your organization. And with me today, I have you, Anna, former Vice President of Investor Relations and Corporate Communications at Zealand, and you, Jeanette, Communications Director at Nuuday. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, great to be here.
You've both recently led major internet transformations in your organizations. So I'm just so keen to hear the vision behind the execution and some of the outcomes that you guys have had based on these projects. Throughout this session, feel free to ask any questions you might have. We'll keep an eye on them and try to answer them to the best of our ability. Yeah. And I just quickly want to introduce Open. Open is an agency, consultancy, and we help large organizations engage and connect their people in an increasingly digital workplace. We have a global team here in Copenhagen and in Cape Town, and we combine strategic insight, creative communication, change management, and technology adoption to deliver solutions. And we have been part of your guys' projects together with our partners, FellowMind, who we're also very happy to have on. And also thank you to FellowMind for letting us borrow this studio for today's session. So let's dive into it. The first sort of theme I want to go into is the vision and the strategy for these projects, sort of the first step to starting something like this. So I think I want to start with you, Anna, if you could just tell us what is the initial motivation behind this internet transformation for you?
How long do we have? No, just kidding. So yeah, we had an intranet already, and I think it very much is the way you described it, a place where perhaps a lot of information went to die. It was built originally in 2020. It was a SharePoint-based solution, like the one we have, the new one we have, with a third-party platform on the top, which could add various customized functions and look and feel and that type of thing. But it was quite clear that the intranet that we had was not going to match the company that we were and the company that we were becoming, and it wasn't going to fit in with the whole, digital transformation journey that we're all on together.
Yeah.
So it was imperative, okay, we needed to find something else. And the other thing about it was we looked into it, okay, it had become a monster. It had become an archive of information and not a communications platform. It had really poor findability. There was, lots of outdated information. It was very difficult to find the relevant information within a sea of outdated content.
Yeah.
What can one say? It was arranged, in a really awkward way, not user-friendly. It would be perfect if you'd maybe been at Zealand Pharma for 5 years. You'd know exactly where to find something. But if you'd been there for 5 days or 5 months or 5 weeks, didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
So lots of people weren't using it. At the back end, that's very much the front end side. On the back end side, the IT department were pretty much fixing it with duct tape on a regular basis. It was crashing. It wasn't really up to scratch. What can one say? The third-party solution that we had on top, it wouldn't really meet our current IT security policies and practices. So when we looked at this, it was really a question that this was not going to be a renovation job. This was going to be a tear the house down and build a new solution. So that's kind of where we started.
Yeah. Okay. And you, Jeanette, what was the motivation behind your project?
Many similar things. So I'm not going to repeat all the details because I think that will be very much what you're saying. But I think that, we had it on our comms roadmap for quite some time. It had become outdated. It was, search wasn't really working, So and lacking ownership and governance, basically, just to highlight a few elements for that. So that was the reasoning. But, what made us take the step right now was actually that one thing was that we had our intranet. And then on the side of that, then we had Workplace by Meta, which was discontinued here in August 25. So as this was, like the most used communications platform, then we really needed to do something different. And here I advocated for now, okay, let's now take an integrated approach. So we will, look into how did it, we also had tons of old content, so it's like, okay, we're not going to migrate all of that. So, let's go for a simplified version and a future-proof solution and an integrated, digital workplace for our employees. So you find what you need to do your job, but you will also have some efficient communications challenge, both for collaboration, but also, what goes on across the company. So you will have corporate news, actually. So I think that was the key drivers for why we said, now we're going to go for an integrated solution, and timing was now.
I think when a lot of people hear intranet, they think IT. You both represent comms, and you say you had it on your comms roadmap for a while. Why is it important for communications to take the lead in a project like this?
For me, it's not an IT project, because when we're creating, the front end, it's for our colleagues.
Yeah.
We need to provide something, I would say it's the communications infrastructure of the company, but we cannot build it ourselves. We established a very, very close collaboration between our tech colleagues and us in comms, and made a joint working group around that. So I think we need each other to make the great solution. And then what technology were looking to us as the business owner of the internet. So, we would then come with the requirements and go out and talk with our colleagues, and then we'd define and design and, build the architecture around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a communications platform. It's a strategic communications platform. It really is the cornerstone of your internal communication strategy. I mean, I don't know about you, but for us, it's not a question of wrestling this project out of IT. It's a question of going to IT and saying, what do you think? Are we ready to do a new intranet? And actually, from our perspective, it was, yes, please. Yes. Thank you. We actually need this. But they were not going to own it in the way that we need to own it, because it's the front end.
Yes.
Just like the corporate website is exactly the same.
Yeah. Makes sense. From the way you guys are describing it now, it seems like it was a big job. I know I heard from the sidelines that it was 2 big jobs to get through. And I can hear on both of you that it was a needed job. It was now that it needed to happen. But what is sort of the thinking that goes behind doing this investment into this platform?
Some of it. So, I mean, from many levels, right? So, I mean, from a business perspective, it's all about, efficiency in some ways, right? So you really want to make sure that your employees can find the information that they need when they need it that's relevant for them. You don't want them to waste time trolling through whatever which is out of date to find something that they need, now to do their job. So that's like straight up very clear a business need. I mean, from a cultural perspective as well, it's important because it's all about, feeling connected and included, having the news. As you said, we have the same thing, a lot of news on the front page. It goes through our intranet all the time. And then we've also embedded, for the first time in our company, we've embedded sort of the social media platform, Viva Engage.
Yeah.
And so that's, again, we have a lot of community there. Our social clubs all live there. And what the hope is as well, that senior leaders will start engaging with the company there, because as we grow, we have multiple locations. Right now, the CEO, we're 500 people. He still goes to the canteen and has lunch with employees every day. But, that can't last, forever. Not everyone can engage. So, using our digital tools more wisely.
Yeah, I very much agree. I mean, it's about making something that is truly effective as a working platform. So for me, it's also about how we work better together. So it's about empowerment, it's about engagement, efficiency, and the cultural part of it, and also, when we speak about growth, how can we support learning and development, with the different platforms there. So I think it's about embracing this and seeing this as a hub for connecting and sharing, and then by the end of the day, make us more efficient in how we do our work.
Yeah. So what I hear you guys say is it's not actually just a place where you store things. It's much more about collaboration, culture, having that touch point with the employees.
That's how you have used to look at the internet, like a kind of, a static repository, and then you have all the documents, da 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 da. But I think that what we're creating now, and of course we have just recently gone live, but it should be a place where you connect and you share and you get the overview what goes on across in my company, and who can I reach out to if I want to know more about some news piece or something. So I think it's truly a platform for connecting our people.
Yeah, absolutely dynamic. The static thing that sits there, the same the day it launches.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think that communities that you have now, where everything can, in the Office 365 platform, where you have everything integrated within the teams, and you don't need to, go to different apps to get to. No, you have it all in one place, and I think that's a major step forward for easing that part of how to connect and for people to go out and share.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's sort of the entry point, actually, to our company. As you said before, it's sort of the window to the internal part of the company, like the corporate website is the window from the outside world. Yes. This is the window to the inside world. And we also try to integrate it with all of our tools. So we've made in the navigation, for example, the menu that just has links directly to all of the other platforms and tools that people need on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So not only is it the first window that you open, when you open a browser, you come to our intranet, but then instead of people maybe bookmarking, the DocuSign, LinkedIn for expenses and all these different platforms, they're all right there and up to date and the right ones. And so that also can maybe drive traffic.
Definitely.
I think one thing that I always, I can get confused about this myself as an employee, is what to use when. What is Teams, what is intranets, what is Viva Engage? But the way you guys describe it is that they all actually work together in sort of an ecosystem of touch points.
And I think, we also need to guide the organization because it's all new. So when do you see something fit for the corporate news platform? Or how would you like it to be if you want to put it on Viva Engage? So how do you use Viva Engage, and when do you use Teams then?
Yeah.
So for us, like Teams is when you're reaching out and collaborating maybe in smaller groups, daily work. But if you want to, highlight something for some more people across the company, it would be, using the Viva Engage. But of course, when you get more channels and get used to it, it's just a learning process, I think, and for us, people have engaged very much on the old platform. Now we are in the process of moving that onto the new one.
Yeah, that's our intranet had become a place where some people were actually doing work. Departments were sort of storing their... And so that had already been a big project. You're looking at me with a forward brow. Sorry, that's kind of funny. Yeah, that had been an ongoing project for the IT department to move everything more onto Teams. Yes. And so work happens in Teams, collaboration happens in Teams. What's on the intranet is, of course, something that really should be accessible by everybody in the company. You shouldn't reach a page that says access denied, and it's only because you're working on a certain project that you can, get there. So it's like relevant for everybody. It's information that's relevant for everybody about the company. And then work happens, should we say, in Teams, and then sort of socializing and engaging in Viva Engage. I guess that's sort of how we have it.
Okay, so I think what we're moving into now is sort of also the execution of these projects. And I want to ask you, Anna, what were the biggest drivers for you?
Yeah, I think with a project like this, which does require a village, it's a little bit of a team effort, but it's never really anybody's priority, because you think of the internet like water and Wi-Fi. It's something that's just there. Yeah. So for me, the key sort of driver for success initially was executive buy-in. Making sure that there was from the top support that this was something that we need it as a company. So that was really the most successful thing, to have that executive buy-in from the very beginning, because otherwise you can't run a project like this, because there's so many other priorities that everybody has every day.
Was it easy to get that buy-in? Was it difficult?
It's surprisingly easy, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, because
so it was prioritized.
It had been slowly socialized as a need that was coming, and we had successfully developed a new website the year before.
Okay.
So it was very much as part, as you said, as part of the sort of communications roadmap.
Yes.
So it was already there, and then yes, I think it was kind of surprisingly easy,
Nice.
actually. But you need to do that, and I don't think it'll be easy everywhere. So that's why I'm saying it.
Yes.
No, definitely agree. I mean, you need to have that executive buy-in, because you're going out in the organization and asking for resources to actually, review, migrate, and build on the new platform.
Yeah.
So need to have that buy-in to actually, get the resources and create the team across the organization. So I think that's the first one you need to have in place.
Yeah.
And I think secondly, what we did, what also probably you also did, you have a steer code with that executive management representation. So and the key stakeholders, so you could easily make decisions and move ahead fast. I mean, I guess like you also, we did it in like half a year's time. When we got the green light, now we go. So it's been a fairly stretched process to build a new intranet for that. So you also need to have quick decision making if you have some obstacles that you need to solve.
Yeah, I think we were lucky that the executive buy-in that we had was very much empowering a very small group of people to just make the decision.
Okay.
Do what you think.
Yeah, and that made the process easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talk about drivers, but we also talk about barriers. So I want to dig into that a little bit. What were some of the barriers you faced?
Flip side of the same coin. It is actually nobody's real priority, because it's something that's just there, and you have to use resources from across the company. So it is nobody's primary job, including your own.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of trying to keep it going. I mean, you need time and focus, and so you have to keep that that going. That's the hardest thing, I think.
I can only echo that. This is one of the main challenges, but I have to say that our project team that we formed, I owe them big kudos for what they did and managed to do, because without them we would not have been where we are today. So I mean, that's how you get it done.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that while you're gathering your thoughts, which is, getting the right team together. I mean, there's lots of like project management stuff that's 101 for any project that you're going to build, but getting the right team together as your core team.
How do you do that? How do you put together the dream team for a project like this? What type of people do you need?
I think you need people from across, besides comms and technology, that's, co-drivers of the project. I would say you need representation from across all the business units, and especially also, in our case, from frontline part of the business. What do they need to actually be efficient in their daily work?
Yeah.
So testing the solutions along the way. I think we managed to get them on board, and also say, wow, we can actually do this, and have created a much better solution than what we had.
Yeah.
I think if I just can come back to one of the drivers, because one thing is you need to have the buy-in, but I think to be able to actually do it, and I would say I would do that even if I had longer time, but we managed to say, let's go with an MVP solution first. Let's not try to make everything perfect. So, so approaching that mindset of, okay, we will learn as we go.
Yeah.
And for this, it was speed over perfection. But even though I think we managed to go live with something, that was a full intranet. But of course, then below, at some pages, you would still need to access the old. So, but that we've been moving on 2 platforms then, and we'll be closing the old one end of year.
Yeah.
But that part of having that mindset that, okay, let's get to the new platform, and then we build and refine. That made it also easier to move, with a very strict deadline, because we needed to have established a new comms channels. And then just a point of keep it simple. don't overcomplicate it, because you need to be able to say, first of all, user-friendly, but also to maintain it ongoingly.
Yeah.
So we don't get back to those monsters as we both referred to.
Exactly. I mean, keep it simple. Also, because there's, you're discovering all the things that it may be able to do. And so then you're thinking, oh, this would be really interesting. I can make it like this and this. And we started going down that track and then, pull back and keep it simple. And I think what helped me actually was the fact that I knew that I was leaving the company. Because then you're forced to say someone else has to keep this alive and manage it. And so it has to be something that someone else who just arrives blind can take up and continue. So definitely, keep it simple. When you're talking about the team, I 100% agree with your approach. I also did something a little bit different. I went for the emotional approach. Yes. I took, I had the key, technology stakeholders. So I had an IT person, key. I had 2 people from comms. It was our entire comms team at the time, including me. And then then I had 2 representatives from P&O because they have a lot of content as well on the intranet. But it included people who were emotionally tied to it because they had been part of the prior intranet project and they had seen all of the pitfalls and why it had maybe gone wrong or not been. Yeah. I don't want to say gone wrong, but why it had become what it had become. Yes. And so they were motivated to make a solution that was going to work in the future. Yeah. So that was sort of a little bit of my secret weapon, human emotion.
That's good to know. Yeah. If you could both do this, don't do that, what would you say?
For us, we have also been migrating to a complete new IT platform.
Yes.
This is very seldom that you build a new internet while you're actually also moving the whole company to a new tenant.
It's very complex.
That created quite a lot of technical challenges. So don't do that.
Don't do that. Noted.
But it's very seldom that we were. How many people are doing a full move to a new tenant while you also create a new?
But then you have to do it though. That's the other thing. You didn't really have a choice.
No. we then build it on the new tenant, and we are still working on the old access rights and everything. So we became very, very close with our colleagues in technology. So I think that would be, and do's. I think we're actually almost back to the drivers then. With engaging people, getting the buy-in. Super important to actually get started, in a good way and manage the process within time.
Yeah, no, I would say that too. Possibly because it's maybe not my, biggest strength, but like project management, make sure that is really kind of taken care of. I was trying to lead the project, do the project, manage the project with the team. Yeah. So yeah, I would have probably sought someone who could really dedicate to running around, herding the cats or whatever you want to say. And I did have my number 2 in comms, Taylor, who was doing a lot of that. So I have to kudos to her. But I think also what I would do is time. Don't underestimate how much time it's going to take. Start when you're really ready. So I've done as much research as you can, and really try to understand SharePoint. If that's the platform you're using, understand SharePoint as much as you possibly can, because it does have a lot of sort of quirks to it, and maybe decisions that you might make differently had you known certain things, that kind of thing. So I don't know. That's probably.
Yeah, and I think you speak about project management, and I guess part of that is also the change management process actually. So both while driving the project, but also now when we are actually have launched. Then there's also the change management process afterwards of nudging people to use the new channels, and all of that also takes time to create the adoption of the new platform. Yeah. So I think that's also super important.
Yeah, actually, don't underestimate the time you need. Once it launches, it's not over. It's not even just now we maintain and update and what have you. It's having time for hypercare sessions where people can really ask questions and learn about the new platform. And again, that was really left up to one person at Zealand, so that's a lot, which she had to handle by herself. And I think also just bear in mind maybe a pitfall: the first 24 hours, or maybe let's say the first 6 hours, I probably spent nothing else. No, I did nothing else but sort of troubleshoot together with IT, just little things that maybe we
After
discovered
you launched?
after launch. Yeah.
Okay.
So that by the end of the day, everything was smooth. But it took a few things, because there's some things you can't test when you're also an editor. I mean, this is just going down the weeds of the technical, but
No, now we get into like the hypercare part of it, when you're alive, that you really have dedicated, okay, we can quickly solve that. I think that's also crucial for the success. And afterwards, how was the experience actually then for people when we went live? But I mean, yeah, still working on it.
Good. You both also, for your projects, you had your teams, but you also had your external support in us from Open and our partners from Fellowmind. Why did you choose to bring on external support, and sort of what did that add to the process?
I mean, I'm not an intranet expert. So for me, I also needed to create a team with, professional, competent team that could guide us. What would be the right thing to do for these challenges? And we didn't have, that expertise within the team. So definitely that was why I reached out to you and Fellowmind. But also that the way that you work as an integrated team was super important. So we didn't have to, manage many vendors into that, because we needed both the comms expertise and the technical expertise on the SharePoint side.
Yeah.
So I think that was key to us. And then we actually also had a project management support from your side as well, because that also was part of how to actually succeed, having that project management lead, that could support me in reaching out and following out all different kind of stakeholders and help them feel supported in the process.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely key to succeed with the project.
I'd echo the same thing. I mean, I had never built an intranet for a company, led the process of building an intranet for a company before, 3 corporate websites. But this is completely different. And I had to highlight one thing, which, for risk at stating the obvious, when it comes to a corporate website, you can look at 20,000 different examples and say, I like this and I don't like this, and can you do this and can you do that?
Yeah.
But when it comes to an intranet, you by definition have your own, or maybe your prior companies, which then again was probably a few years ago.
Yeah.
So you can't really get a sense of what's out there in the big wide world. And that's where you guys come in, both you and Fellowmind, because you know what's out there in the big wide world. You know what is the new, latest and greatest. So we can really tap into that and then echo everything that Jeanette has said.
Okay. Now I want to move on to output and sort of the future of these platforms. So what does it look like today? Is it alive? Do you feel like there's a lot of engagement on there, or is it more, has it died down after launch?
Well, I mean, so yeah, we launched on October 31. So it's still, I should say, early days.
Yeah.
Now, again, the intranet is something we've had, and there's so much information and news on there. So it's something that people do go to.
Yeah.
I think that people will go to it even more now.
Yeah.
It's early days on getting any kind of metrics in, but you can touch base with my colleagues at Zealand and find out how it's all going. But what they have now, and I'm really hoping they have a platform that looks good.
Yeah.
Definitely feedback we've been given. It has all of our corporate branding on it. So, and again, kudos to Open, because it was actually your design team that helped us to design the front end to make it look like Zealand, which is great. It's far simpler navigation. All the information is arranged. We moved from not a department-based solution. So before, every department had their information on our intranet. Some of it was 5 years out of date, literally. Some of it was enormous, all designed in different ways. So now it's not designed by department. It's all organized by activity, a function that you want to do. So I just bring up travel. Before, you'd have to know that to do your expenses, you go to finance. You'd have to know who at the admin team was in charge of bookings. I mean, you have to go to 3 different departments. Now you go to travel, and all the different pages that are relevant to travel will be rolling up based on keywords, which we leveraged heavily for the solution right there. And so across the board, it's like that. So And also we have different news channels. So instead of news sort of being buried once, there's 3 news items, you can't see the latest news.
Yeah.
We have different channels. So for example, like just basic things like P&O, our HR department have their own like people news section. So you can always find it there. And like the facilities and IT department have their own news section. So they have a lot of things like do this, don't do this. We're going to be down, a fire alarm, whatever it might be. That's there. And then other main news is sort of in a different center part of the front page. So yeah, I hope it's a much better organized solution now.
Yeah. Once you have a platform that you are happy with and it's time to launch, how do you, first of all, communicate that, but also make sure that adoption happens across the board?
We made a mini campaign saying, okay, now we're going live, leading into that. So people, okay, countdown, da, 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 da. I mean, some pretty classical comms.
Yeah.
And then I think now we went live in mid-August. And we still have the old platform alive. So we're actually on 2 platforms while we're moving people to the new tenant. So we're now doing a little bit of starting a nudging campaign for people actually to get there. But I mean, we made our KPIs for adoption and readership and all of that. But of course, that needs to increase.
Yeah.
Because again, we said it, okay, there's a first phase, and then there's the phase where everybody is actually on one and the same platform. So I think that nudging part of it, where you can do, different tips and tricks and video guides. And I mean, we also did a full page with all sorts of guides, and this is how you do it, how to navigate, where to do this, and how to request if you want to create a community, all of that. I think that basic needs to be in place.
Yeah.
So I think now it's more moved into how do we then engage people, and with some of the technical challenges, we have to also just to await with like a big nudging campaign or adoption until everybody is on one single platform.
Yeah.
But I think, again, as you also said, much better user experience, clear and crisp design, easy to find thing, subject-based rather than organizational-based. So I think those are, the major points. But, before I also say more, we are now actually conducting a survey to get feedback from the users and then also have some focus groups. So that's going on right now at the moment for us to see, okay, so how has it actually landed a couple of months after the go live?
Yeah.
And what are the things where we need to make some adjustments? Because, I mean, you can only test so much beforehand. So we might make some, changes as we move into 26 and then say, okay, so what is working well and where do we need to do some improvements? I think it's super important to go out and listen.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's similar. I mean, it's no surprise since Open is also behind a lot of the Zealand Pharma internal communications efforts. So these things are going to be similar. But I would add that there's sort of 2 groups really. There's the employees, the users, the people who will go and look at the intranet and find the information that they need on there. And then there's going to be, the editors, right? The people who are actually own the pages, are responsible for keeping them up to date, editing them, building them, that sort of thing. And so it's going to be a little bit different for both of those groups. I think for the editors, that's where there were, I mean, and again, thanks to Open, because you were instrumental at helping us create a lot of the guides. So not only like the templates and how everything should look so people can hopefully make pages that were all consistent, although that's a issue on its own, but rather like how to do it, all the different guides, like how do I do this, how do I do that, all the sort of SharePoint quirks that one needs to sort of navigate as an editor. So we have this wonderful like editors portal. So there's a lot of information in there that of course can be updated because it's dynamic. And then from a sort of employee perspective, it's rather, well, where do you find things? So that's more just being accessible for getting people to use or to be used to the new platform. It's like getting a new iPhone. You can't stand the new operating system for the first 5 minutes, and then you can't remember the old one.
Yeah. Anna, you mentioned that you'd heard from people that it looks nicer now, and you now conducting surveys. Have you heard any other feedback from people just by word of mouth or any feedback on how it's been?
But definitely people appreciate it now.
Okay.
There was something, you know, where it's easy to find because, as mentioned, the old one wasn't really working.
Yeah.
So I think there's people spontaneously, you know, the people you work with closely really responded positively to now, okay, this is easy, it looks nice, it's modern, you know, I can find what I'm looking for. So I think it has been very welcomed by everyone. But of course, there are also, I mean, I'm sure there comes something up in the service we're doing now that, okay, maybe I cannot find this, where do I do? So we need, you know, to guide on that part. So I think it's also a journey because you've been used to working in one system, even though it's an internet, but you have been used to, okay, I have bookmarked this and da.
Yeah.
And then you move on to a new platform where things are organized in a different way. So again, it's always like a bit of a change journey also at an individual level.
Yeah.
How do people find the new things? I think so. The key will be the survey. I mean, when people can give some feedback, and so when I'm asking my colleagues, Taylor in particular in communications, okay, so what's the story? How is it going? And you know, it really is that initial hypercare, I think, is the key. But when she said, well, everyone says it looks nice and nobody's complaining. And I mean,
so far,
sometimes,
so good.
honestly, that when something is like an intranet, which you expect to work, no complaints is actually a huge bonus. When the prior thing was, I don't even bother going on it.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. Did you hear this need expressed from the people around you before you started the project, or was that more, was it something that was spoken about? We don't like this intranet. We don't know how to use it. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely. But I think, So I think it was appreciated. But I think that I mean, for our side, we also look forward to that we all get onto the same platform because there has been some workarounds that we need to, you know, get to work. So you know, it might sound like a full smooth experience. It has been for many, in many, you know, areas, but there are also some technical quirks that we have needed to solve and still need to await because we have this migration to a new tenant. So to be fair, so for people it might not have been always so easy because there are some technical issues that we are then solving. Yeah.
Issues. I mean, we did the cold turkey. I mean, we were on SharePoint already. So what we did, like just technically for launch, we were able to make the decision to actually shut off the intranet for a day.
Okay.
So we basically withdrew access. So nobody except for editors had access to the old intranet. And no one had access to the new intranet that was being built next to it, apart from the editors. And then we could, you know, go kind of live, as it were, but without giving people access. We could really test everything and then give people access. So that I think, you know, helped enormously on the thing. But it was very much cold turkey. So there is no, I mean, the old intranet exists because in case there's something we forgot that's on there.
Yeah.
And that will be deleted shortly. But it was very much a cold turkey thing, which I think, I don't know, that was just the wish that I had. I feel like it's a completely different situation that you're in, but I felt like it was, you have one shot at this and they have to have a good experience from the first day or else you kind of lose your audience.
Yes.
I fully agree. I fully agree with your perspective on that. And I think we have just been needed to do it as a stepwise approach. I look forward to that part where we are all onto the same one single platform, one single way of accessing it. So that would be good.
Yeah. If we look ahead, I know, Anna, you've now stepped out of Zealand, but you might still have some dreams and hopes for the intranet. What do you see in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's an enormously powerful tool for internal communications. But also we've set it up to be this way, but this is probably the pieces that we need to still build more of. And that is really focused on a lot of kind of learning hub knowledge centers and learning hubs, both for just learning more about the individual activities within our company, but also, you know, skills training that the P&O department will lead. So those types of things, I think it can be, you know, really powerful for. And then we were building for scale. So, you know, right now we're approaching 500 people. We're mainly in Denmark. We have some employees in the US. We're growing. I think in the future there'll be a lot more like use of targeting, and I'm not talking about permissions. So it isn't like locking people out of content. It's rather more, targeting to. I mean, you have a much bigger company with lots of different functions. So you probably already use this much more. We use it less, but more use of like really tailoring content for people.
Yeah.
Still keeping that one team feeling, which is really important in Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah. And you, Jeanette?
On the future outlook, I think, what I think is very interesting, it's all about learning the platform to get to know it and then, sharing, collaborating. So I think getting that engagement going, I think that's what I'm really looking into. But I think then if you think about, integrated into the Microsoft platform, the Copilot elements, I think more will come in that end.
Yeah.
So that's what not something we're looking into right now as such, but I think this is probably what I will see coming more, that we will work with AI tools. How to. There's one thing that's enabling our colleagues, but then there's also how we work with the data on the usage of of the sites and the news and everything. So I think that will be the next steps of how we then make the most of the intranet.
Yes.
Your page is not being looked at. Why not? Make it more engaging.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there are lots of use cases for that. Okay. Thank you so much, both of you. This was a really interesting conversation, and I definitely learned a lot. I hope you guys out there watching did as well. Yeah. Thank you for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you are curious to ever see any of our other stuff, you can go ahead and follow us on LinkedIn. We do these every once in a while. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks
to
for
be
the
here.
invite.
Thank
Great
you.
to be here.